What's going on, everyone? My name is Gregory and I'm a second-year medical student living in Brisbane. On this channel I talk about my journey through medical school as well as other neat things. Speaking of which, I've got 3 for you today. As inspired by Abdaal's monthly series, I'll be going over a book, a hobby, and a new personal project. These are my monthly favorites. Let's do it. So first, let's start with the book that I've been getting back into, and that is The Hero of Ages, which is part 3 of the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. And this takes place in a world that is desolate, covered in fire and ash, ruled by this immortal being that has ruled for 1,000 years. Our main character that we follow around, Vin, she also is impoverished and is a thief herself, stealing and fighting to survive in this world. And in the first book, Mistborn, Vin finds out early on that she's not a pleb and that she has these abilities that are triggered when she ingests certain metals. So these abilities manipulate physical forces around her so she could get super strength or super speed, or she can see in the dark. Anyways, we follow her through her journey where eventually she finds other people kind of like her, and together they form this kind of Avengers group where they try and fight this immortal being and free these people of this poverty and try to get some sense of normalcy back to everyone. Now, in the third book, Vin is much more comfortable with her abilities and she's somewhat of a master now, fighting this ultimate final darkness god. The cool thing is that even after the end of this book, the way that Brandon Sanderson writes his stories is that they all somehow connect to each other. The other trilogies that he writes, they all fall in the same universe, on the same timeline, and he leaves hints and breadcrumbs to these other characters. So I'm really excited to finish this one and hop into the next one. Anyways, what really drew me into the series was that it wasn't fully enveloped in the fantasy world, so there aren't magical spells or anything like that. It's the use of metals that we're familiar with, so like steel and copper, and it just heightens certain physical attributes that we already have, so like speed and strength and stuff like that. Anyways, I won't say much else. If you're interested, I'll go ahead and leave a link down there so that you can check it out for yourself. It's also available on audiobook as well. So the next thing I want to talk about is an app which is not new, but it's new to me, and that's Lightroom CC. And it ties in with a long-standing hobby that I've had with mobile photography. I used to mostly shoot of food and fashion, as you'll see on my Instagram page, but lately, since all that I've learned, I've been expanding on that. And I feel like when it comes to mobile photography, I'm a decent shot, but I've mostly relied on intuition. It's certainly not on the level of a lot of these Instagram influencers. I started thinking to myself, where does everyone get these professional photographers, right? Did they just follow them around everywhere, or did everyone certainly learn how to use a camera in high school? I thought, well, why don't I just learn how to do that myself? I can be that person who takes those good photos, right? So over the past month, I've been learning about composition, lighting, poses, and editing. Certainly it's that last part, editing, is where Lightroom CC comes in for me. And it's been teaching me a lot about the importance of editing your photos before putting them up on Instagram. So taking your original photos and making them punchier by playing around with the highlights and the shadows, or stylizing it and playing around with complementary colors, using tone curves and color gradients. Through this whole experience with this hobby, it's taught me that I've had a lot of fun with portrait photography particularly. I think the next step for me is to look for a full frame camera where I can really take things to the next level. But in the meantime, I've been having a lot of fun playing around in Lightroom. The third and final of my favorites is the personal project, which is this YouTube channel. Now, I've played around with the idea of starting YouTube before, but I feel like less than a decade ago, it was mostly home videos and skits and stuff like that. It seemed like overnight, the production value just went through the roof. I thought to myself, well, how hard can it be? You set up the camera, you press record, right? Certainly some of my favorite YouTubers, like Abdaal, Karma Medic, and Rachel Southard, make it look easy enough. You set up the camera, it's a lot of headshots and talking. Well, I can tell you in the few months that I've been diving deeper into this, is that it is so much more than that. If any of you are thinking of starting YouTube and you think, oh, it's gonna be hard, yes, it is just as hard as it looks. There are things like gear, lighting, scripting, B-roll, and above all, making a system that puts it all together. And the thing is, these are all new concepts to me. So I've been taking my time to familiarize myself with all these different elements that go into making a YouTube video. I feel like I've been so zoned into the road of medicine for so long that I'd forgotten that there are other cool things, like film. I feel like the last time I filmed something was in high school. It was a group project for a community PSA, and our topic was on graffiti. I was directing it, and so I caught weird angles of my friends wiping graffiti off the walls, and one of my friends liked to dance, so I zoomed in on his feet and he did a little sideways moonwalk thing. That's called B-roll. That was before I even know what B-roll was. Anyways, the point is, this whole prospect of YouTube has been very exciting for me, so I fit it into my schedule, which gives me something to look forward to at the end of a long day of studying. That was it. That's all I have for you. It's a bit short and sweet. What I'd like to know from you is, what is one or two things that have been going on in the past month that you've been obsessing or re-obsessing over? Go ahead and let me know down below. Also, if you like this video, let me know that too. I certainly had a lot of fun, and this is only the beginning of my journey. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.